Hello and good evening. You are watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. Let's take a quick look at stories to look forward to in tonight's bulletin. President Emerson Mnangagwa is in Yokohama, Japan for the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, which focuses on promoting economic development, social progress, peace in Africa and beyond. We shall hear from our correspondent, Fungi Kwaramba, who is in Japan with the president. Newsplus will take you to Budiriro for a stranger-than-fiction story which has left the community shocked and searching for answers. A 21-year-old man reportedly died from bleeding after cutting his own flesh and eating it. Details on that story coming up later in the bulletin. Another story to look forward to on Newsplus is on the 22 suspected criminals who are expected to be extradited back into the country to face various criminal charges, including fraud and armed robberies, after they skipped bail while on remand. Later on in sport, tributes have been pouring in from across the football world following the sudden and tragic passing of former Zimbabwe international striker Tendai Ndoro, who was found dead in his Sandton apartment on Monday. Now, our first report this evening is about President Emerson Mnangagwa, who is in Yokohama, Japan, for the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, where Zimbabwe is seeking to woo investors from one of the global economic giants. Established in 1993, TICAD focuses on promoting economic development, social progress, and peace in Africa and globally. Specific areas of focus for TICAD include infrastructure development, industrialization and economic growth, health and human development, agriculture and food security, peace and stability. Finance Minister Professor Mthuli Ncube, who is part of the delegation, shares some of the issues to be discussed at the conference.
We're here to engage on various development issues that have impacted the African continent with our Japanese counterparts, and the representation is really at the highest level as well at the African continent level. The chairman of the AU Commission is also present, the representation from the UN Secretary General's office, the World Bank, among others. So really this is a big story. It really dovetails with what we are trying to do in Zimbabwe, which is to develop our NDS2, our National Development Strategy 2, which focuses on various development areas, and all those areas are being talked about here. One such area, for example, is to deal with the issue of debt. Debt sustainability in Africa is something that is an albatross to Africa's economic growth and development. How should we go about dealing with that? How can the world support us in doing that? The other area is dealing with climate change, which is upon us. Our region is particularly affected in Southern Africa. How should we go about collaborating with each other to tackle the issue of climate change, changing our food production systems, agricultural systems, which we're already doing with Fumvudza into us, and we're sharing those experiences with others.
Now, over the years, TICAD has been instrumental in promoting African development and strengthening international partnerships. Our correspondent, Fungi Kwaramba, who is in Yokohama, gives us more details on some of the issues on the agenda.
The agenda is packed with two of the continent's biggest challenges: the devastating impacts of climate change and the crippling burden of foreign debt. This high-level meeting comes at a critical time. With the world facing hunger and geopolitical tensions, African leaders are sitting down with the heads of the United Nations, the World Bank, and Japan to find solutions. For Zimbabwe, the summit focus is close to home. Topics like food security, industrialization, and infrastructure development are central to the government's own Vision 2030 to become an upper middle income economy. The president is accompanied by a high-powered delegation that includes Foreign Affairs Minister Amon Murwira and Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube.
Our correspondent Wadzanai Sansole takes us through some of the immediate benefits which may accrue for Zimbabwe from attending this conference. Wadzanai, over to you.
Thank you and good evening, Faith. Well, the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, better known as TICAD, has become one of the most strategic platforms shaping Japan's relations with Africa. And right now, Japan-Africa trade is valued at about 24 billion US dollars, with Japanese foreign direct investment growing steadily at around 10% each year. Now, when you compare that to the $100 billion in US-Africa trade and the massive $300 billion in China-Africa trade, it's clear that Japan is still playing catch-up. But that's exactly why TICAD is so important. It gives Japan a framework to deepen its economic footprint on the continent, especially in areas like technology transfer, infrastructure, and industrial partnerships. Now, for Zimbabwe, this platform actually carries real weight. And you'll see that in 2024, our imports from Japan stood at about 62 million US dollars, while exports back to Japan reached 18 million US dollars. The trade profile tells a very interesting story. From Japan, Zimbabwe mainly brings in trucks. It brings cars, it brings machinery, it brings industrial chemicals. While on the export side, we send out tobacco, precious stones, cotton, and raw hides. Now, these figures show a relationship that's established, but with plenty of room to grow. And TICAD creates that space, helping Zimbabwe push for value addition while giving Japan a strategic entry point into Southern Africa's markets and resources. Back to you, Faith.
Wadanai, thank you so much for that explainer. Our correspondent, Wadanai Sansole, just discussing with us the relationship that exists between Zimbabwe and Tokyo. Now, Vice President Kembo Mohadi has called on Zimbabweans and authorities involved in documenting the country's liberation struggle to ensure that no one is excluded, including those who were in opposition, as they too played a role in securing independence. Speaking during a media briefing after touring the Fortaleza Museum in Luanda, Angola, on Monday, Vice President Mohadi said no aspect of history should be omitted, as it will help future generations understand how independence was attained.
We also visited some places, by the way. We went to the museum, military museum, which is so rich in terms of information. It has got information from the 15th century up to now. They have documented everything, and it has been done so well. I really would want Zimbabwe to emulate such. And since I was being accompanied by the chief executive of the African Liberation Museum, Dr. Mzawazi, I think he will take a little bit of some lessons from what we saw. So we are very much impressed by that. We need to capture our history in that manner, so that those that come after us are able to follow step by step of what we did in terms of the liberation of the country. At the offices of MPLA, I was equally impressed by the history of how they've displayed the history of Angola, the MPLA, since 1956 to date. You get it in pictures, you get it in narratives and all that. So they exactly know that this year we did that, that year we did that, and all the like. And the history does not exclude those that were in opposition of MPLA. It also includes them because they contributed towards the liberation of Angola, that is Finland.
Meanwhile, the government of Zimbabwe is set to begin construction of a shrine and monuments at the Boma mass grave site in Luena, Moshinko province, Angola, where more than 300 Zimbabwean Liberation War fighters were buried following the February 26, 1979 bombings. Vice President Kembo Mohadi, who visited the site and laid a wreath in honor of the fallen heroes, said Zimbabwe will ensure a befitting shrine is constructed to preserve the memory of the freedom fighters.
It involves a lot of memories. Neste local temos muitas memórias of what we went through. Daquilo que porque nós passamos naquela. And the young people of this region, SADC region. E para os jovens da região da SADC, don't know that. Não sabem do que de facto ocorreu neste local. They took things for granted. They take things for granted. Portanto, não sabem de nada, pensam que as coisas são fáceis. There's been bloodshed for the freedom that you enjoy today.
Houve derramamento de sangue para esta liberdade que vocês gozam agora neste momento.
Because we got this independence, or our independence through blood,
Porque a nossa independência foi conquistada através do sangue.
through the loss of lives,
Vidas perdidas.
it is now incumbent upon you
Agora é vossa responsabilidade
that you preserve this independence which was won,
preservar esta independência que foi difícil.
which was won through the precious blood of our people.
A shocking and horrific story of self-cannibalism. We'll give you details when Newsplus comes back.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now, a shocking story coming out of Budiriro. A 21-year-old man from Harare's Budiriro area died at the weekend after bleeding profusely from wounds he inflicted on himself. Aaron Mutize, who according to witnesses appeared possessed by evil spirits, reportedly burnt himself with fire, cut out his flesh and ate it. The incident has left residents in Gugunyani area of Budiriro shocked. Our correspondent Lacho Nyango visited the area and spoke to some witnesses.
Just like the biblical legend was overtaken by dark forces, so too was Aaron Mutize. Witnesses claim a strange spirit forced him to cut himself using pieces of broken ceramic plates. They claim he drank his blood and ate his flesh. With his hands trembling, he threw himself into the fire. Amboya Ashumba, a friend to Aaron's mother, can still hear echoes of the young man wailing as he begged God to save him. He was too powerful to be restrained.
Aizvicheka-cheka nebanga achianza zvaakaita akazvicheka-cheka achiita muchinjikwa mutatu kumabvazuva pawoyemba mukati memba wotarisa futi rimwe saidhi wozvisa muchinjikwa mutatu yeropa rake azvisa muchinjikwa mutatu yeropa rake akazodho rakazoita ropa rese dho raita dho ropa rese akabva azomabhagla bhazi nechizvese akanga akuzvipenda neropa rake rakanyanya kubuda zvakanyanya ropa ndo rakanyanya kubuda zvakanyanya nekuti dai maiona zvakaita pamba nekupenda kwaita nekupenda mumba iropa raibuda mumunhu saka ropa ndofunga ndo rakazomukanganisawo saka anzi aizvicheka akapwanya pureti otora ozvicheka kudai obva anwa ropa riya saka paakaenda pabeyond ari kunzi akanorara pamadota akanga aine moto izvo zvandazozviona zvangu arara pamadota anga aine moto akazenga akuzvidya nyama yake yagocha iye hanzi nezvigunwe here hanzi akatofa akuzvidya saka chiitiko chasina kumbotifadza muno mumusha kuti mwana akadaro chii chakaitika kuti mwana azvidye ari mupenyu achifamba.
Amboya Ashumba told us that before Aaron's death, he had been acting strange on Friday evening, leading to the fateful Saturday. He was out of character, a reserved and quiet young man, now singing loudly and exhibiting violent traits. Reports say he even injured his mother, threatening to kill his siblings.
Maneracho ndo pandakanzwa mhirizhonga yanga yakakura zvekukura zviya saka semunhu anga ine zvanga zvakabatomba handina kukwanisa kubuda. Vana vakauya vakandishedza kati gogo budai pane zviri kuitika kwana Blessing. Ndakatadza kubuda nekuti ndina hanzvadzi yangu iri kurwarawo. Saka zvadaro seizvozvo ndakazomuka makuseni ndobva ndaenda pamba pana Blessing paya. Ndobva ndatosvika ndabona munin'ina wangu tikati nai munin'ina kogumbo chi ndava koma zvinhu zvakaoma.
On Friday night, Aaron reportedly bolted out of the house naked and stormed a shrine belonging to one Mazibaba Beyond. Everything that happened there, witnesses say, is beyond explanation. They claim he threw himself into the fire and started praying to be saved.
Hondo yaita yakanga yatangira kumba aitanga akagarwa nemweya wedhimoni. Munhu yasvika pamba kositenofa akazonorara mumoto pasowe raMazibaba Beyond. Arara mumoto chichatakakwanisa kudzima moto nekumubvisa pamoto. Asi apa pamoto kudaro munhu akasvika pakuzodya ruoko rwake kusvika rwapera tichiona.
A friend, Tanaka Pazorora, described the events leading to Aaron's death as unfortunate. Aaron died the following day on Saturday from the injuries. His peers say his death had nothing to do with drug or abuse of any substance.
Pamba panga pasiri pava vairoja one room. Inova iyo room futi yakapwanya maglass achinyora neropa mukati zvakaisa in danger. Akanga ambosungwa nevanhu vemusociety ari mumba paakasungwa akakwanisa kubvisa mumba manga asungirwa akalokerwa mamu nevana 2 obva azobata banga achida kuataka vana 2 vanga vari mumba imomo. Saka kuti asaatake vanhu vanga vari panze vakanzwa noise vakatry iye aitry kuvamisa achiti anongoshedza mama kana vamwe ndiri kumubaya nebanga but vanhu vanga vatonzwa voice panze ndipo vakazopasa vachipinda.
On the fateful day, Aaron begged for water to drink, but none was available. He died on his way to the hospital, and his body was ferried to his raw home in Mashingo for burial. But police say they are yet to receive the report on the shocking incident. Witnesses are sticking to their script.
No parent wishes to bury their own children, but death is like a robber. This is a shrine where a 21-year-old man from Budiriro came, cut himself, ate his own flesh in front of many people. He died later. This case remains a mystery, whether it's about demon possession or a spiritual fight. Latu Nyango reporting for Certain Prime in Budiriro.
Now, a total of 22 suspected criminals are expected to be extradited back into the country to face various criminal charges, including fraud and armed robberies, after they skipped bail while on remand. The suspected criminals who were arrested following a red notice issued by the International Criminal Police Organizations, Interpol, were believed to have skipped the country and fled to various countries. Most of them were in South Africa, Botswana, Portugal, and the United Arab Emirates, among other countries. Police recently roped in the International Criminal Police Organization to assist in tracking down the suspects, leading to the arrest of some of them. Here are the names of some of the suspects to be repatriated. Now let's cast a spotlight on the issues of service delivery in the capital city of Harare. The city says it is battling frequent sewer blockages caused by residents dumping solid waste into sewer lines. Officials say the problem is worsening and putting a strain on the city's infrastructure. The Department of Water says it is spending large sums of money clearing blockages that could easily be avoided. Department of Water engineer Simon Muserere warns that habits such as throwing rubbish into sewer lines and using sand to wash dishes are the major causes of the problem.
In Harare, you will find out that previously we used to receive more than 3-4 tons of sand per day at our sewage treatment plants. That is when the sewer line could get a self-cleansing velocity. Now, we no longer have the self-cleansing velocity, hence the sewer is now depositing within the pipelines.
The city is now urging residents to adopt proper waste disposal methods to prevent sewer collapses and outbreaks of waterborne diseases. Harare City Council says it will continue engaging communities on the importance of protecting the sewer system while also taking enforcement measures where necessary. Now, in our feature story tonight, we shine the spotlight on a remarkable story of hope and transformation. In Zimbabwe, thousands of people are living with preventable blindness. But thanks to the dedicated work of medical professionals at Norton Hospital Eye Unit, many are now gaining their sight. Our correspondent, Rubiza Zinyuki, takes us to this life-changing facility where surgeries are changing lives.
When 68-year-old Pasmo Tsuro first began losing his sight, everything around
operatwa musi wekutanga zvichinzi modzoka mangwana tozobvisa kuvharidzira kwavanenge vakaita. Ndadzoka mangwana aya ndobva ndavhurwa ziso ndione ziso rakuona zvakanaka. Saka nhasi uno ndadzoka zvakare kuti ndigadzirirwe rimwe racho. Saka ndinoti chipatara cheNorton chiri kuita basa rakanaka kwazvo. Izvozvi nhasi ndinotenda kuti ndinobva pano rimwe roona zvakare.
Tsuro is one of thousands of Zimbabweans whose lives have been transformed at the Norton Hospital Eye Unit. In Zimbabwe, at least 125,000 people are living with blindness, with cataracts being the leading cause, followed by glaucoma and complications from diabetes. However, experts say up to 80% of blindness can be prevented or treated. At Norton Hospital, the Council for the Blind has established a center of hope, offering surgeries twice a week and consultations almost daily.
Basically, here we do consultations on eye services, on eye health. We also do surgeries on specific days, which is Tuesday and Thursday every other week. So we do cataract operations, we do some glaucoma surgeries, we do regular eye checks.
The impact is visible in the testimonies of patients.
akapurudza akabva otovona saka ndatenda kuti ndibve kwacho kumanzi ndiuye kuzoshanyira voNorton kuza kuti Norton ichandibetsera ndichaenda ndichiona zvakanaka.
Ndinozwa vanhu vakawanda vachitaura nenyaya yekuti Norton chipatara cheNorton chine mukurumbiro wekurapa maziso, saka ndashinga kuti hakusina mhosva ndikubva regai ndiende ndinozvionera ndika.
For them, each operation is more than just a medical procedure. It is a chance to live with dignity and independence again.
Now let's talk agriculture. Livestock farmers have been urged to utilize the winter season to religiously dose their livestock in preparation for the upcoming summer season, which is infested by several diseases. This was said during a rotational field school, which was recently conducted in Charter. Now, livestock farmers in Featherstone gathered to share notes on good livestock farming practices. Farmers were also urged to ensure supplementary feeding, especially during the winter period when the natural grazing feed is scarce due to low temperatures.
As you can see, there's serious livestock production here. There's a serious pen fattening scheme going on. Cattle are feeding and also thriving here. I would still encourage all farmers to observe that during winter, cattle should be supplemented in terms of their feed, and also vaccinate and deworm their cattle timelessly. That way, you enhance your productivity in the cattle industry.
Local farmers held the Field School initiative, highlighting that it will go a long way in equipping them with relevant skills to boost production.
tadzidza zvakawanda pamusoro pe-farming yemombe. Mukudzidza kwedu taona ma-disadvantage, taona ma-losses atanga tichiita, and mukupfuya mombe kwatiri kuita panapa mueconomy yedu yenyika zvinobatsira zvakawanda. We are not going to be short of meat, and zvinobooster economy yedu mune zvakawanda kana tichiita mombe ma-breeds emombe akadai.
On Newsplus, we'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Got some questions about Showmax? Well, we've got the answers. What is Showmax? Showmax is not a TV channel. It's a streaming service with tons of hit series, movies, and more. Plus, Premier League live on mobile. Just pick what you want and hit play. No schedule or airing times. With Showmax, you watch what you want, when you want, and where you want. For any other queries, find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, or TikTok.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako iyo afro chakuti ndo music manje yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now we take a look at news from around the world. We start off in DRC, where the main rebel group in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the M23, has walked away from peace talks with the government, saying it will not return unless the authorities adhere to a previous ceasefire deal. Fighting between the two sides escalated in January when the M23 captured large parts of the mineral-rich east, including the regional capital, Goma. In Qatar last month, the rebels and the government signed a ceasefire agreement intended as a step toward a permanent peace deal. But on Monday, as negotiations were set to resume, the M23 said its representatives were not present in Qatar. They accused the authorities of not respecting the provisions contained in the ceasefire deal, but the DRC's military denies this charge. Meanwhile, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the U.S. had sent a clear signal that it will be part of security guarantees for his country following meetings with Donald Trump and European leaders in Washington, D.C. on Monday. Monday's group of leaders focused those security guarantees for Ukraine, a mixture of boosting Kyiv's army and national commitments. There was no discussion of potential NATO membership, which Trump, Rutte and Moscow have all dismissed, despite Zelensky's previous demands.
Який можна захистити гарантіями безпеки наших партнерів. Що стосується тематик, ми говорили про гарантії безпеки. Це ключове питання, як старт до закінчення війни. Тобто, що повинно бути в кінці, а саме захист, ми починаємо з нього і починаємо працювати. Важливо, що Сполучені Штати Америки роблять чіткий сигнал, що вони будуть серед країн.
Over in Iraq, the Iraqi authorities are exhuming remains from the Al-Kafasha mass grave near Mosul, Nineveh province, where it is thought thousands killed by ISIS are buried. 20,000 people of different nationalities and religions are believed to have been buried at the site, with work underway to design a memorial for the victims of this horrific massacre. According to a 2018 United Nations report, Al-Kafasa is believed to be the largest mass grave in Iraq, among more than 202 such sites in northern and western provinces.
نشرت كوادرنا الفنية المتخصصة بأعمال البحث والتحري والتنقيب عن المقابر الجماعية بفتح مقبرة الخسفة كمرحلة أولى لمدة 15 يوم، تشمل رفع الأدلة والعظام البشرية من محيط مقبرة الخسفة، على أن يتم فتحها كمرحلة ثانية في
Now we give you a follow-up on a story that we did cover last night on Newsplus on the floods in Pakistan. At least 313 people have died and over 150 remain missing after flash floods triggered by days of torrential monsoon rains swept through northwest Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province over the past 3 days. Rescue and relief operations are struggling to keep pace with the scale of destruction as entire communities have been devastated and access to affected areas remains challenging. As many as 150 people may still be trapped under debris in Bunab district, where 213 deaths and 126 injuries have been confirmed.
अच्छा, हम रहते हैं 1 किलोमीटर के फासले पे। जो बेसिकली सैलाब आया था, ये हम हमारे सामने पहाड़ दिख रहे हैं।
ये अभी तो 38 बाड़ी जो हमारा घर पे है, 14 में इधर रख दिया और 24 बाड़ी में इधर रख दिया, 100 से भी ज़्यादा है।
Still now look at news from around the world. The Hamas movement and other Palestinian factions have announced their agreement to the Gaza ceasefire proposal presented by Egyptian and Qatari mediators. A statement by Hamas said that the ceasefire proposal includes an initial 60-day truce, the release of hostages, and the entry of urgent humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. On the same day, an Israeli official confirmed to the Times of Israel that Israel had received Hamas's latest response regarding the Gaza ceasefire proposal and the release of hostages. The last ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, part of a phased agreement that included the release of hostages, was ended by Israel in March. Now, over in China, over 500 robotic competitors gathered at Beijing's National Speed Skating Oval for the inaugural World Humanoid Robot Games. Engineers from 16 countries, including Germany, the Netherlands, and the United States, were there to put their software algorithms to the ultimate test. The coaches, or rather the programmers, demand no grilling drills from these athletes. Tactics are fed straight from their laptops into the blank slate robots that are provided by the organizers. The event features 487 competitions across 26 disciplines. Besides sport, robot competitors also took part in dance performances and took on real-life challenges from hotel services to warehouse logistics and industry scenarios.
Yes, robot running competition is pretty difficult, especially for coaches, I think, rather than for robots themselves, because as you see, coach need to follow their robots all the way on.
我感觉他其实速度还是很快的。如果说像我要多跟他学跑，我感觉我可能跑不过他。
And now we take a look at some business news.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Captain Wally J's about to take you to boot camp.
It's the riveting science and tech show that keeps you up to date with the hottest gizmos on the block and revealing the illustrious and innovative visionaries in Zimbabwe. So much to see, you'll keep swiping.
This cherry red beauty is the Dairy Auto M7 mini electric car.
We've designed our brute force incubator board.
Look at what we've got here.
Solar powered scarecrow was part of the project that I was supposed to complete.
Catch Swipe every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294. Get the picture?
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Now let's take a look at some business news, and we start off by talking about the local currency. The ZiG currency is gaining significant traction, now accounting for over 40% of electronic payment transactions, 6 months after the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe implemented a series of targeted interventions. In his latest midterm monetary policy statement, RBZ Governor Dr. John Mushaiwanu did highlight that the proportion of ZiG transactions rose from 26% in the month of April 2024 to over 40% in June of 2025. The foreign currency retention ratio increased to 30% from 25% to ensure companies have adequate ZiG for local raw material acquisition. Additionally, to promote the circulation of ZiG within banking channels, the government mandated that all presumptive taxes be paid in local currency, regardless of the currency used for business transactions. The RBZ's policy interventions have also helped dampen inflation since January, tightening liquidity and supporting the ZiG's purchasing power. So we now look at business. Nedbank Group has agreed to sell its stake in EcoBank Transnational to a company controlled by the former chairman of the Pan-African lender for $100 million, ending a 17-year alliance. According to Chief Executive Officer Jason Quinn, the Johannesburg-based Nedbank will sell its 21% stake to Bosquet Investments, the private investment vehicle of Alan Nkocho, managing partner and co-founder of Enco Capital Management LLP and a former chairman of EcoBank. The sale will help Nedbank focus on the southern and East African regions of the continent. Now, EcoBank has a presence in 33 countries, including 32 across sub-Saharan Africa and 1 in France. EcoBank has said it plans to expand its operations in Nigeria and other African markets to maintain growth and expects its new shareholder to back its strategy. Now, some tobacco news. Tobacco exports have generated over $500 million from the sale of 97 million kilograms since the beginning of this year. According to latest figures from the Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board's weekly report, the major buyers of the tobacco were countries from the Far East. Africa is in second position after buying 20.2 million kgs. Now, the Middle East bought 14.8 million kgs worth $46.4 million. In fourth position is the European Union, EU, which imported 10.2 million kilograms of tobacco from Zimbabwe that is worth $56 million. Zimbabwe also exported 4.1 million kgs of tobacco that was valued at $15.6 million to the Americas. During the same period last year, the total value of tobacco exports was $600 million from the 117 million kgs that were sold at an average price of about $5.30 per kg. Now, the government and the private sector are working towards increasing local processing of tobacco to boost their income. The Eurozone's trade surplus with the rest of the world shrank sharply to 7 billion euros. That's around $8.18 billion in the month of June, marking a significant drop of 66.2% compared to the same period last year. This is according to data that was released by Eurostat on Monday. Similarly, the European Union's overall trade surplus saw a year-on-year decline of over 60%. Brazil, China, and emerging economies were identified as growing trade partners for the EU, partially offsetting losses from strained US-EU trade relations. However, sectors such as machinery and chemicals do remain heavily impacted, illustrating the broader challenges that are within the EU external trade. That's it for business, but now we take a look at some entertainment news.
In a world where music transcends boundaries, where rhythm and melody unite the hearts of people, comes a show that celebrates the power of music like never before. Get ready to dive into a sonic journey that will leave you mesmerized and yearning for more. Welcome to the captivating world of Z Vibes. Vibe to it, baby. Dental checkups, experiments, games.
The mixture is making bubbles and the bubbles have changed color. Our balloon has been filled by carbon dioxide.
We have it all right here on Happy Sprouts. Catch us exclusively on Citizen Prime, DSTV channel 294. Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. So Erika, like where you're sitting. Better faces so personal.
Music Afro music
and I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so Shona kana kuti chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe ndiwo rupawo rwako ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now let's just quickly take a look at what's happening on the entertainment scene. Bokola Film Festival returns on the 23rd of August 2025 for the third year at Studio Moto with a bold new theme, Dream Now. This year's edition is more than just a celebration of cinema. It's a call for local filmmakers to scale greater heights and earn their place on the international stage. Bokola 2025 calls on filmmakers, artists, and activists to respond with urgency, clarity, and radical imagination in a world that's reeling from inequality, climate collapse, and war.
Bokola Film Festival is a documentary film festival. We've been hosting it for a little over 3 years now, and the idea behind it is to just showcase amazing storytelling that young African filmmakers do, and to just showcase their amazing work, and also provide an opportunity for people to gain access to the stories that we don't often get access to. We don't normally see these stories or hear of them because they're either on YouTube or the filmmakers don't have a platform like Netflix to put their films on. So we then provided a platform through Bokola to showcase these amazing stories being told by young Africans.
Now, the festival will showcase powerful documentary screenings, putting a spotlight on young African storytellers with a documentary of the infamous Mazbaba Ishmael, which is set to be one of the headliners.
So this year we are showcasing the documentary of
We apologize for the bad sound on that clip, but the Bokola Film Festival will be coming up shortly. Now, American R&B legend Joe Thomas, who recently performed in Zimbabwe, has been honored with a Hall of Fame star at the newly developed Ndlandla Mall in Sunnyside, Pretoria, receiving the first ever Hall of Fame star at the premises. Ndlandla Mall, that was developed by an entrepreneur in South Africa who is called Tami Ndlandla, is not just going to be developed as a retail sector, but is also going to serve as a lifestyle sector, as a lifestyle center as well. Oh, you are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Karo mwana mnimambama mu studio. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako yo Afro chakuti ndo music manje yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now we take a look at some sporting action. Tributes continue to pour in for former Warriors and Orlando Pirates striker Tendai Ndoro, who was found dead in his apartment in South Africa yesterday. Zifa led the tributes for Ndoro, with the football governing body calling him a gifted forward who proudly represented our nation, donning the Warriors jersey with distinction. Ndoro made his Warriors debut in 2013, going on to earn 14 international caps. He was part of the 2017 AFCON squad, scoring in Zimbabwe 4-2 defeat to Tunisia. The PSL also paid tribute to Ndoro, celebrating a distinguished career that brought joy to fans and elevated the game to greater heights. His former club in South Africa, Orlando Pirates, along with several local clubs, also paid tribute to the late forward, who was popularly known as Fire. South Africa-based former Warriors player Edelbert Dina was among those who visited Ndoro's Sandton apartment yesterday, and he sent us this update.
We really can't tell exactly what happened. It's only people that are trying to fit in a story because of the scene that we saw yesterday. So we're still waiting for the forensic team and the private investigator to give us exactly what really happened. So we can only know after we have the full report from them. In terms of the plans for the body, Zororo Pumulani has taken over, so they are the ones that are going to be making sure that the body gets to Bulawayo safe. So the post-mortem was supposed to be today, but it was delayed for tomorrow. So we can only know after tomorrow. So as for today, there is place in Rosettenville where the family is decided that people who wants to pay their respects should go there. So that's the program for today. So they will pay their respects today, I think from 6:30 to 7:30, and again tomorrow, same time, same place.
Sad times for the football fraternity. May his soul rest in peace. Now, in some cricket, Zimbabwe cricket chairman Tavengo Mkhuhlane says they are now working on reducing the gap in quality between local and international players, as well as finding ways to be financially stable. Mkhuhlane says local players are not getting the much-needed exposure, with the association making moves to bridge the gap between first-class and international cricket.
And most of the time, you are having the boys who are learning on the job. And to mitigate that, we have started bringing the county sides to Zimbabwe. Durham has been here, Derbyshire has been here. I believe we're likely to have another county this side, so that we can mitigate the gap between first class and international cricket. But it doesn't cover everything when the counties do come here. We need to have more of that.
Now, for Tabith Mutiniri, football has never been just a game. It has been a calling. Known for a grit, leadership, and unshakable composure, Mutiniri has long been a cornerstone of the Herentals Queens setup. But when injury cruelly ruled her out of the last tournament, she was forced into unfamiliar territory, the sidelines. Now, she is ready to help her team navigate the first phase of the African safari. We get more in the following report.
Comebacks are always stronger than setbacks, and such is the case for Herentals Queens defender Tabith Mutiniri, who's taking a personal disappointment of missing out from last year's competition as fuel to acquit yourself with more efficiency in the upcoming CAF Women's Champions League COSAFA qualifiers.
Ndinonzwa kufara zvakanyanyisa nokuti umwe mukana ndapuwa naMwari wekuti ndinoratidza talent yangu kuSAFA. Inini pandakakuvara ndakaita make sure chekutanga ndongoti maplayers ndakatanga kubatsira kuti ndidzoke. So ndaingodza Mwari kuti aiwa next year team yangu inofanira kutora futi league ndizvinotamba futi next year kuCOSAFA. Saka vasikana vedu vabva winawo, and then ndakabva ndaita shungu yekushanda zvine simba, kuenda kuma extras, going to gym. Ndiri kunyatsonzwa mwoyo wangu uri kufara and ndichanotamba, and I have confidence in myself kuti I'm going to prove vanhu vakawanda kuti nyange wakakuvara you can come back and do better than before.
Mutiniri has been a vital cog in the Herentals Queens dressing room, as he has played in all of the 17 league games so far and has set his sights on booking a ticket to the league phase of the CAF Champions League after the team fell short in the semi-finals last year.
Kushuvira kugohesa cause so far nekudzoka kwandakaita ndine maassist akawandisa. Ndotobva kumashure ndichienda ndichinogohesa makona ngava ma-throw in ndakutongozikanwa kuti ndotoenda ikoko ndichitopa ma-assist. So I'm working on that and I hope ndonozviprova futi kuCAF. kuCAF ndoda kunoonekwa because my dream is to make my late mother happy. So I'm going to do better. Aiwa inini namato mwari wangu havangambondisenderi ndega ndochekutanga nokuti kupora kwandakaita itori miracle. So ndikutoshura kuti ndinosangana muCAF ingava Sundowns ingava Zambia ndikutoziva kuti maqueens edu we are fighters and we are going to fight. Tikutonosvika musemi takagumira musemi. It was our first time but now we know better. Takati tutonosvika muCAF tasvika kuCAF kwatosvika mufinal then final totopedza basi. Tikuexpecta kudzoka wokumbane trophy.
As a defender, Tabeth Mutini is not just returning to the lineup, she's returning toward the line to restore stability and to chase the dream that injury once stole. For ZTN Prime, I am Tawanda Muntali.
From football to boxing, Zimbabwe's first female professional boxer, Mona Lisa Sibanda, says she is aware of the threat posed by Malawi's Ruth Chisale. Sibanda enters the ring on August 30th in Lilongwe to face the Malawian, bringing to an end her long period of inactivity. The non-title fight will consist of 8 rounds. Now known in the boxing circles as the Queen of the Jungle, the veteran boxer is the current Women International Boxing Association light welterweight intercontinental champion.
I'm preparing fights to Malawi in international bouts against Ruthi Chisale. Ruthi Chisale, she's a good boxer. I am also a good boxer. So the best boxer is going to carry the day. I am going to do my best for Zimbabwe. I'm going to win, to make my country proud, my family proud. I'm going to do it.
And still in sport, former Zimbabwe senior women's netball team captain Perpetua Siachitema has bounced back to the side 6 years after calling time on her playing career. Siachitema has been making strides in the domestic netball circles and led Glow Petroleum to league success twice in 2022 and 2023. She now returns to the senior side and will be assisting head coach Ropafadzo Mtsauki in the GEMS International Friendly against Kenya and the second string side, Zambezi Eagles. The preparatory matches are of paramount importance for the GEMS as they serve as preparations for the Celtic Cup penciled for Scotland in November, as well as the African Netball Championships set for Malawi in December, and over 40 players have reported for camp. Well, that's all we had for you on Newsplus this Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for making the time to join us this evening. My name is Faith Nyaude. We leave you with the weather forecast. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Harare, Tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports,